Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we have another news update video. We're talking about a buyout that happened earlier today and a trade between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Seattle Kraken. We'll get to both of these very intriguing moves coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. Don't forget to stay tuned for June 27th, June 28th, and July 1st live streams at 5 p.m. 10 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. respectively, talking about the draft, free agency, and all things involved. But in today's video, we got another trade update video to discuss. There was one trade that happened earlier today, and we're recording this Saturday night. Probably won't come out on YouTube until Sunday-ish at some point. I got some things to do on Sunday, so not exactly sure when, but it will come out at some point on Sunday. We have one small trade to discuss between the Kraken and the Blackhawks. Then we have a buyout to discuss involving the Chicago Blackhawks. So two very interesting things there. So first, got the small trade to discuss. It's a 1-for-1 player swap. The Seattle Kraken have acquired Joe Veleno from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for Andre Burakovsky. This is a surprising deal for both sides a little bit. For the Kraken, moving off from Burakovsky makes a lot of sense. They literally just a day earlier have acquired Mason Marchment. He's in value of his deal. He's got $4.5 million cap it. He came in with some cap on his contract, so moving out Burakovsky makes a whole bunch of sense. He was mentioned a couple of times on the trade deadline, but never got moved. So I think moving on from him is really good. Like, he was one of their first really big free agent signings. Never worked out in Seattle. Like, I think his career high in the Seattle organization was like 30 or 40 points. Like in Colorado and Washington, he was a really solid player. He had put up over 40 and 60 points with the Colorado Avalanche. He had some pretty good seasons over in Washington, but his career high in the Seattle Kraken organization was 39 points, and he had 10 goals and 37 points in 79 games last year. So his scoring touch has really dropped off over the past couple of years, and that is a major reason as to why Kraken move on from him. He's got 2 years left at a $5.5 million cap hit, so he gets to move to Chicago, and the Blackhawks organization, maybe he can find his former 60-goal form from Colorado. Like, maybe that's a possibility. I think Burakovsky's a decent middle six guy. I think he's overpaid for what he's producing right now. I think maybe somewhere close to $4 million would have been a better contract for Burakovsky. So I'm a little bit surprised as to why the Blackhawks ate $3 million off the cap just to take on Burakovsky. Maybe they feel like he can maybe turn back to like a solid 15 to 20 goal scorer. Maybe it can be like a 40 to 45, maybe 50-point defenseman in their middle six. Like, I'm not exactly sure why, but the Hawks do add some forward help with the addition of Burakovsky. Meanwhile, for the Seattle Kraken, they get Joe Veleno. So that's not a bad deal in my opinion. 1-for-1, I think this is a complete win for the Seattle Kraken. Veleno is a young 25-year-old center. He's in the final year of a 2-year contract with the AAV of $2.2 million. So they save $3 million off their cap, and they get a center. They now have 4 really good centers on their team. That's Beniers, Wright, McCann, and now Veleno. Veleno can be a solid fourth-line center. I have heard some people say maybe he could get bought out. I don't think that's going to happen. It's a possibility, I guess. So he's into the final year of his deal. He'll be an RFA if they do wind up keeping him at the end of next offseason. Veleno was a former first-round pick. I don't think he's ever going to develop into the player that I think a lot of people thought, which was like a solid second or third-line center. I think Veleno as peak could probably be like a decent third-line center there for the Seattle Kraken. This past year, he split time between the Red Wings and the Hawks, was dealt to Chicago at the trade deadline, and he had a combined 7 goals and 15 points in 72 games this year. So once again, not a whole bunch of points. 15 and 72 is not overly a lot for Veleno, and definitely not the 28 points he had the year prior. So maybe in Seattle, like they did with Kako, Seattle can work with him, make him a better player. I could see Veleno maybe eventually be like a solid 30, maybe 35-point fourth-line center there in Seattle if they can do the same sort of thing they did with Kako. So this is not a bad deal in my opinion for the Kraken. This is a steal of a deal for Seattle, getting Veleno for Burakovsky. I think it's a little more confusing for the Hawks to move off of a young center and get an older middle six winger who's on a couple of year contract. So very interesting note there. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, who you think won this deal. Personally, like I said, I think it's a Seattle win, and especially after acquiring Marchment just a day earlier, they move off of Burakovsky. Marchment's got a year less on his contract, and he's $1 million cheaper. So in my opinion, especially with the way Marchment played last year, Seattle just got a whole bunch better in the middle six, and they haven't even done a whole bunch of moves. So very interesting note there, but the Kraken acquire Veleno from the Blackhawks for Burakovsky. And then we had a buyout. It was our first buyout of the buyout window. We love to see that. It's probably going to be a first of many. We're going to have to keep our eye on the buyout window over the next couple of weeks leading up to June 30th. But in today's buyout, it was the one that we talked about in a couple of days ago trade rumor video, and a lot of people thought was going to happen, and that's T.J. Brodie. Brodie, who's 35 years old, last year signed a 2-year deal with Chicago with AV of $3.75 million. Didn't have a great season, putting up 2 goals and 10 points in 54 games in his first season in Chicago. After he had some pretty good seasons in Toronto, putting up 26 points the year before, having 28 points 3 years ago. So he can be a solid 20 to 30 point defenseman. He was like a 30 to 40 point guy in Calgary all those years back. But I think at this point in his career, with where he is, he's 35 years old, he can be a solid third pair defenseman and can definitely play a couple of games for a contender. So I don't think he'll get too much on a deal. The cap for the Chicago Blackhawks will be $3.23 million on this year's cap for the Chicago Blackhawks. So that only saves them about $500,000 for this upcoming season. And it does give them a $258,000 cap hit for next year. So his contract's now spread out over 2 years. But it seemed like the Blackhawks just wanted to give Brodie a fresh start. He didn't like the fit that he was there last year, and they buy him out, and hopefully Brodie finds somewhere to sign. So very interesting note there. But T.J. Brodie has been bought out by the Chicago Blackhawks. They have a cap penalty of $3.23 for this upcoming season, followed by a $258,000 cap penalty for next year. And Brodie's now going to be a UFA where he can sign wherever he wants to. So very interesting note there. But we've got the first buyout on the books as well, as Brodie's been bought out by Chicago. So very interesting note there. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on both these moves, on who you think won the Seattle-Chicago trade, and what do you think of the T.J. Brodie buyout? Definitely your thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk for today. Remember to like this video, and for to subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. Don't forget to stay tuned for June 27th, 28th, and July 1st live streams talking about the draft and free agency. I also do a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So check that out. I'll leave a link to that down in the description below. Can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.